you know, that you could keep reasonable hours and live outside of the city, have a wife or a girlfriend, and eat cereal for breakfast and write great prose. Ray had developed a way of life that facilitated the production of that last great burst of fiction that he produced before he died.
When he moved out here with Tess, whenever it was 1980?
1978 or
78. It was just like having another crack at to do this fishing anyway, like having another crack at his childhood again, because that's oversimplified, but it corresponds to the way he sort of did it. He did it with such pleasure. He did all that fishing on the Columbia River over there, and that all got sort of pushed back into time, and it's like another crack at life again, you know, come out here and do this. Bonk.
To get to Birch Creek, you go to the end of our street where you hit 16th Avenue. You turn left on 16th and go up the hill past the cemetery and down to Lennox, where there's a Chinese restaurant. From the crossroads there, you can see the airport, and Birch Creek is below the airport. 16th changes to View Road at the crossroads. You follow View for a little way until you come to the bridge. There are orchards on both sides of the road. Sometimes when you go by the orchards, you see pheasants running down the rows, but you can't hunt there because you might get shot by a Greek named Matsos. I guess it is about a 40-minute walk all in all. I was halfway down 16th when a woman in a red car pulled onto the shoulder ahead of me.
Want a ride?
Yeah.
Playing hooky?
Guess so.
She was thin and had little pimples around her mouth, but she was sharp enough. I tried to think of something to say.
I'm going fishing.
Well, I never would have guessed. Where you going, Birch Creek?
Yeah.
I nodded again. I looked at my cap. My uncle had bought it for me in Seattle when he had gone to watch a hockey game. I couldn't think of anything more to say. I looked out the window and sucked my cheeks. You always see yourself getting picked up by this woman. You know you'll fall for each other and that she'll take you home with her and let you screw her all over the house. I began to get a boner thinking about it. I moved the cap over my lap and closed my eyes and tried to think about baseball.
I keep saying that one of these days I'll take up fishing. They say it's very relaxing.
I wanted to say, "Are you real busy? Would you like to start this morning?" But I was afraid to look at her.
Will this help you? I have to turn off here. I'm sorry, I'm kind of in a hurry this morning.
That's okay. This is fine. Goodbye. Thanks. Maybe next summer.
You mean fishing? Yeah, sure thing.
Shit.
She waved with a couple of fingers the way women do. I started walking, going over what I should have said. I could think of a lot of things. What was wrong with me? I cut the air with the fly rod and hollered 2 or 3 times. What I should have done to start things off was ask if we could have lunch together. No one was home at my house. Suddenly we are in my bedroom under the covers. She asks me if she can keep her sweater on, and I say it's okay with me. She keeps her pants on, too. That's all right, I say. I don't mind. A Piper Cub dipped low over my head as it came in for a landing. I was a few feet from the bridge. I could hear the water running. I tried to think where to start. I had fished here for 3 years, ever since we had moved. Dad used to bring George and me in the car and wait for us, smoking, baiting our hooks, tying up new rigs for us if we snagged. We always started at the bridge and moved down, and we always caught a few. Once in a while, at the first of the season, we caught the limit. I rigged up and tried a few casts under the bridge first.
He was intensely lucky. He was intensely lucky. He had no right to catch most of the fish he ever caught. We were just
Never.
talking about that.
And if he did hook one, I don't know how he ever got it in the boat.
Because he got so excited.
Oh.
He would just, you could just see his heart leaping in his chest. Going along, and he caught a big fish on the line, and he played it and played it and played it and played it, and he got the fish right up to the boat. And that's a really precarious time for the fish, because they'll turn on you, and he turned on him and he got off. And you would have thought his grandmother had died and left him out of her will, you know.
He'd be talking about that one for a week.
He was.
He'd get tired of that story. Oh, God, I don't understand why that got off.
How
I
did
did
it get
everything
off?
right.
How did, yeah, there's no reason in the world.
No
Just
reason
God's
in the
against
world.
me.
It was very important for him to find this house where he could invite friends, where he could feel a sense of accomplishment. As an alcoholic, a recovering alcoholic, you have to come to terms with your feelings that you don't deserve a lot of things. And it took him quite a long while to believe that he even deserved to have something better than he had started out with, even though he'd worked very, very hard for those things. And he could finally afford somewhere besides a cabin or a trailer or this place he grew up in. It was very bad luck that he didn't get to spend more time in the house. In fact, he was already, spitting up blood when he was looking for the house. I mean, nothing was going to stop him. But he really got to enjoy the view out here.
Chekhov. On the evening of March 22, 1897, he went to dinner in Moscow with his friend and confidant, Alexei Suvorin. This Suvorin was a very rich newspaper and book publisher, a reactionary, a self-made man whose father was a private at the Battle of Borodino. Like Chekhov, he was the grandson of a serf. They had that in common. Each had peasant's blood in his veins. Chekhov was impeccably dressed, as always. He was relaxed, jovial. He had just been seated across the table from Suvorin when suddenly blood began gushing from his mouth.
Ray's closeness to Chekhov had been there from probably the start of his writing. But, of course, at the time in which Ray was writing that story, he did not know that he was dying. We now think, oh, yes, there's a kind of prescience about it, as if he were predicting his own death. Like Chekhov, he tended not to go into the idea of an oncoming death as something that that he should just shut down everything. He really wanted to be as alive as he could.